is on the cranial nerves, and we have 12 pair of cranial nerves in our body, 2 arising from our cerebrum and 10 from the brainstem. So 12 cranial nerves, which means that they come from the brain. And I'm only going to show you where these cranial nerves are located, so just the anatomy. So I'm going to draw out a brain, a posterior view of the brain, not posterior, and yeah, inferior view of the brain. You can see the cerebrum and the 2 hemispheres. And also here is the medulla oblongata and the pons. So the first cranial nerve is situated in the cerebrum, arising around here. And the first cranial nerve is known as the olfactory nerve, nerve number 1. Nerve number 2, which is the optic nerve, arises also from the cerebrum. Just where the midbrain is located, protruding from the midbrain, is the oculomotor nerve, nerve 3. And also around the midbrain, we have the tricochlear nerve, nerve 4, cranial nerve 4. Coming out of the pons, we have the trigeminal nerve, nerve 5. And also from the pons, we have nerve 6, which is the abducens nerve. Nerve 7, which is right next to nerve 6, is the facial nerve, cranial nerve 7. And just below, just where the medulla oblongata starts, you can see nerve 8, which is the vestibular cochlear nerve, and also nerve 9, the glossopharyngeal nerve. So here is the glossopharyngeal nerve, nerve 9. Nerve 10 is the vagus nerve, which has many functions in our parasympathetic nervous system, and it arises also from the medulla oblongata. Nerve 11, the accessory nerve, just above the spinal, where the spinal cord begins, is the accessory nerve. And finally, nerve 12 is actually situated just under the glossopharyngeal nerve, and it's called the hypoglossal nerve, nerve 12. So let's have another view of where these cranial nerves are and where they come out from. So we'll have a mid-sagittal view of the actual brainstem. So if we take a brainstem and we cut it in half and look at it from a lateral angle, on the medial aspect, this is what it would look like. Well, not exactly like this, but similar. So, and remember, the first 2 cranial nerves arise from the cerebrum, so we won't talk about it in the brainstem. We'll start with nerve 3, the oculomotor nerve. And this red bulge is actually oculomotor nucleus. Now, every cranial nerve has a nucleus where the sensory and sensory and motor information part actually goes through the nucleus first. We have the ocular nerve, nerve 4, which is just above the cerebellum. The cerebellum, as mentioned in my previous video, is for balance and movement, coordination. And the nucleus, not surprisingly, is referred to as a trochlear nucleus. Nerve 5, which is just where the pons is beginning, is a trigeminal nerve. And the nucleus is referred to as the trigeminal nucleus. Now, I'm not drawing up the sensory and motor nerves. I'm just drawing where all the nerves are roughly located, just to let you know. So nerve 6, the abducens nerve, is located also around the pons and the abducens nucleus. And the facial nerve actually wraps around the abducens nucleus. So here's the facial nerve, nerve 7. And the nucleus is the facial nucleus. Now, at just the very back where the cerebellum is, that's actually where the vestibular nucleus is. So this must be the vestibular cochlear nerve, nerve 8. And here's the vestibular nucleus. Just where the medulla oblongata is, we have protruding out the glossopharyngeal nerve, nerve 9. And it comes in contact with the nucleus referred to as the nucleus ambigua. The vagus nerve, nerve 10, is also connected to this nucleus, the nucleus ambigua. And it is vagus nerve, nerve 10. Nerve 11, the accessory nerve, comes just above where the spinal cord is beginning. The accessory nerve, nerve 11, connects to the nucleus called the spinal nucleus. And finally, nerve 12, the hypoglossal nerve. As you can see, it's situated just below, it protrudes out just below the glossopharyngeal nerve, so it's referred to as a hypoglossal nerve, nerve 12, and the hypoglossal nucleus. And this red thing on the top is actually the red nucleus, and it attaches to the oculomotor nerve, nerve 3. And the red nucleus has actually a function I just want to mention in movement. So just that's something interesting. So that was for the cranial nerves. The next video I will actually explain the functions of each cranial nerve and the disorders relating to these cranial nerves if they are damaged in some way. So yep, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for the next video. Thank you.